I saw a video recently from Dave Farley called I Bet You're Over-Engineering Your Software. I'd like to discuss some of my thoughts I had when I watched this. I'm a huge fan of Dave's work. I first started watching his videos maybe a year ago, and it's taught me a lot about software engineering over that time. Just a couple of points I'd like to expand on a bit in a bit more depth around what he shared. Number one, so he spoke about the iron triangle. So the iron triangle is a concept in project management that you have three main qualities that you're trying to optimize for. Scope, or quality as well, can be included in this. Cost and speed, or schedule. So Dave Farley's approach is that you can achieve improvements in all dimensions of this around project delivery by using continuous delivery. Because the faster you do produce your software, the less money you spend and the more work you can get done if you are building on a robust platform with quality baked into the entire process. To achieve an improvement in all those areas means focusing on the outcome of your project, not on the outputs, right? Now, in the consulting world that I kind of cut my teeth in early on in my career, we were charging our clients our time. So if we were to improve our time by spending less time on the project, we'd actually get less money. And although the people I worked with usually acted with integrity and we were doing our best to actually minimize costs for the client and get more work done, there was that unconscious bias that we don't want to scope our projects too lightly or to to be seen to be cutting corners and doing things too fast, right? So there was this sort of almost like a cultural, or like you could say that the whole industry had this sort of mindset that time was money, and so you would kind of find ways to spend time getting the work done, right? And I think that's a really important element to consider in terms of software development as well, because people have that background of, the industry has that background of a consulting model of time is money, and you're focusing less on the outcomes that achieves for the business. Then I think there is that unconscious bias towards focusing on the iron triangle of scope, time, and cost, right? Rather, as opposed to achieving improvements in all those areas by actually getting more effective work done. The other point I want to discuss today in reaction to Dave Farley's video about over-engineering in particular is, in my experience, what can help minimize over-engineering. I feel like there was more that Dave could have said around how we can improve that. So this is partly borrowing on some ideas that Dave himself has shared in previous videos, and some of it from my own observations. So number one, I think we can minimize over-engineering by deferring decisions as late as we can, particularly decisions that don't relate to the software we are currently working on. So for example, we're designing, if I was working on a feature recently to add some options to a customizable property on a web page, and we could start to plan for future changes that have not yet been delivered by the client but we think are coming, or we can just focus on what is immediately required right now. Now, although we might think there's value in preparing for future work, that's the path of over-engineering, right? So the decision that we need to make right now from what is currently agreed on is much smaller, and we can defer decisions about the architecture or the design to later on in the project when those conversations have been had and people have seen the working software, and then can start to feed into new requirements. And the third element of minimizing over-engineering I want to talk about is making the code easy to change, right? So David shared before on his channel that he reckons the main aspect of quality code is how easily it can be changed. And I would agree with that. I think that's a really important attribute for code. So that also plays well with the other aspects I've shared just now, where if you can defer decisions, it does make it easier to change your code, right? So if you have made decisions, if decisions have been baked into your architecture, into your classes, into your methods, then it is much harder to add new classes and add new interfaces and modify your code in other ways. So another way to look at this is if you're if you have an experience in the kitchen, like if you're baking scones, right? Once those scones go in the oven, you can't change their shape, right? Whereas when it is soft dough, you can more easily play around with it and mold them into different shapes. So keep your code as close as you can to the raw dough. That can be easily modified, and defer the baking process as late as you can, so that you don't end up with design choices that might stick around and linger in your code base for years, sometimes before people get around to addressing them, even if they don't align with how the code currently works or the ongoing features that the software has. So yeah, hope you got something out of that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and let me know if there's any other topics around software or other stuff that you might want me to talk about. See ya.